What's up? Can everybody hear me? Phil. Nice. Bar. Tom C. Key. Thanks for coming out. I don't even know how many people are on here, but I see a lot of people in the chat, so that's amazing. Expect me to do this all kinds of wrong ways. This is my first such thing, as I mentioned. Amazing. Mr. Boysford. I don't really have any topics prepared. So fire away if you have anything you want to ask or talk about or watch or whatever. I just got the all the commercials CIG has ever done for ships running in the background here until I figure out something better to talk about. Just don't say thanks. I'll keep that in mind. I guess I have a question. Has anybody played 4.1 yet? Metal Storm. Nice to see you in chat. You figure out the API for Dune Awakening yet? I know you were putting some work into that. Arcadia Starheart, sure have. 4.1. Have you done the the Hathor missions? Metal Storm, amazing. Oh man. Yeah, for anybody not sure what we're talking about there, Metal Storm's on the Discord, and we were talking about the launch of the did I say Conan Exiles? I meant Dune Awakening. I still am flip-flopping them in my mind since they're from the same maker, but yeah, a bunch of unknowns around what the server structure will look like exactly for the Dune Awakening launch, but as you can imagine, I'm very keenly interested. We got a large group of people going in, so we're trying to plan in advance, like how we're gonna group people and put them on the correct servers and all that, because the clan sizes are limited to 32 people. And it's an interesting configuration. You have I guess they call them what are they called? The basin servers. You got a whole bunch of them. They're all like in a sharded configuration. And I think each one can hold 40 players. And players, much like Star Citizen used to do, where like you would log into Star Citizen and it would kind of randomly assign you to a server, especially after they did the persistent entity streaming. Once they introduced that, they kind of tried to make players sticky to a server, so that like whenever you log back in, you would kind of see the stuff that you were letting on the ground. Well, Conan's kind of doing the same thing with their basin servers, where I don't know if you choose one or how this quite works, but it'll become sticky, and like whenever you go into the basin, that's the server you'll go to, so you can see your building and all the buildings you've crafted and the vehicles you've laid about and all the other stuff. Each one of those holds like 40 players, from what I understand, and then they're going to have a large cluster of deep desert servers. It's going to be a 3x3 grid, so 9 servers total, and they're saying each one of those servers could hold up to 500. I'll believe it when I see it. Hey, Just Wheels Me. Thanks for popping in, man. So if that's true, technically you could have like 4,500 players in the deep desert, but something tells me it'll be a lag fest at 500 on a server there, so we'll see. Yeah, we were trying to figure out like how many basin servers will surround these deep desert servers. Randy Durnall, thanks for popping in, man. Salute back at you. Yeah, so that's what Metal Storm was kind of helping figure out earlier today in the Discord. Oh, Cosmic. Nice. I know who you are. I didn't recognize just Wheel Me. So, yeah. Assuming we'll have like one clan per basin server, and I don't know how many clans we want to put on. So a collection of basin servers plus the deep desert servers, that all forms a world with the Dune Awakening launch. So yeah, we're trying to figure out like how many clans we'll put in the world before we want to put them up. So we have some competition and all that. Just Wheel Me, I love it. Yeah. Anyway, thought the architecture behind Dune, if nothing else, was interesting. Does not really share anything at all in common with Star Citizen, other than the shard affinity, like we were just talking about. But that's kind of a near-term thing for Star Citizen, not a long-term thing. Yeah. So I look forward to the client, Metal Storm. Hopefully, like, as the launch goes, like, that information will come to us via the API. And we'll know we won't have to go in and kind of test and feel things out the hard way. Anybody pick up the Golem or the ATLS Geo? Anybody have any feelings on those two new things? I picked up the Geo, but I have not even had a chance to put it on yet. They have an API for the leaderboard, so that might be a big thing. Oh yeah. Let's see, doing some cool stuff with that. I can't wait to try the jetpack out. Kia Rock. I don't know if that's how I say your name. I never really thought about it before. We were disappointed we could not fit it in a cave. Wait, you couldn't fit a Geo in the cave? I thought that was the whole point. They kind of came out in tandem with these new caves so we could get down there. They even show it on the videos. What kind of cave were you trying to get it in? Yes. Full Metal Jazz Kit. Starlancer is an amazing ship. Of course, I would say that. I like all things Misk. No, I know. I do know that Kyorak equals Kenthis. I just don't know how to say Kyorak. That is a little disappointing, Arcadia. I assumed we could squeeze those things into any of the caves. Probably those, there's some caves that, like, we'll definitely be able to get them in. Some of the older caves, I mean, we could fit entire ships down into some of those caves. Of course, some of them have, like, crawl spaces you got to get through to get to the good stuff, too. That's going to be problematic. Yeah. Yeah, Full Metal Jazz Kit gave a couple of us a ride the other day. We got stranded at Wikelow's. It's a long story. I don't even know if I could recount the story. I don't know how we got stuck there, but yeah. I think we got Star Citizened. But Full Metal Jazz Kit was there to give us a ride, so really appreciate it. I have not taken my Starlancer out since they refactored the performance of it. But I'm looking forward to doing that. It was one of the big ones that you can take a ship down in, but we did get in the smaller ones. But oh, gotcha. Yeah, because even those ones that you can take a ship down in, I don't know how much of the actual stuff that you want to mine is available, like in the large cavernous area. I know there's a bunch of like narrow pathways and hidey holes and everything else for it would probably be a problem for the geo. That's interesting. I wonder if they have any plans of kind of refactoring some of the cave networks to be more accommodating for mech suits, or if they're just going to leave it like this. I guess it'd be cool to have like some, never mind. I think it would be cool to still have some use for the handheld tools. Humans going places machines can't, all that. At least until they give us like a burrow machine. I'm very interested in that question as well, JazzKit. I'd heard a bunch of people saying, like, if you did like a rain dance and then, toggled a bunch of options on and off and then turned your radar on and flew close enough and then backed up a little bit and close enough again, that eventually you could get the rock into a mineable state. What about? I've heard people saying that they're doing the Wikelow's event, like or the Hathor event. Are the ground minables in the cave below Hathor affected? Do we know? I haven't tried that event yet. I'm going to be trying it in a day or two. Gotcha. That is perfect coming from you, JazzKit. Put a little jingle to that. Release it. Yeah, the Wikelow base was cool. That's where JazzKit rescued us from. I spent a good bit of time in there just looking around. The level of like the collection containers, and it was all really cool. A lot of detail. You're right. I especially liked the what was that? A Banu skull. You beat me to it. Anybody looked at the roadmap recently? I don't even know what's after 4.1. I don't know what like the next thing is. Nice, JP. OLP? What is that standing for? Is that the abbreviation for the new mission? Looks like we're oh, orbital laser platform. Should have guessed that. Yeah, I think that's pretty standard for our missions too, JP. Sandbox content stuff. Oh my gosh. Are you jabbing at me? Did you watch my video where I kind of went on a little bit of rant about that? I also wish base building was sooner. I think thanks, JP. Yeah. There's a lot of people in the comments disagreed with me. I was surprised at how many disagreed. I think people have different perspectives on what constitutes sandbox gameplay for sure. I think probably it's been an overused term for a long time now. I have a pretty literal take on it. I think of the playground, the kids playing on a sliding board versus those on the in the sandbox. So, but some other people disagree. They're like, well, if I can approach it a few different ways and I get different results, then it's a sandbox. I'm like, I wouldn't call a choose your own adventure book a sandbox. With you on the base building. Wheel me. I think if we're lucky, we'll see HABs at the end of this year. The ability to connect the stuff next year. Sandbox, crafting, building, trading, extraction. Yeah, exactly. I think the last video I put out, which was updates galore, where we kind of compared and contrasted things happening across Star Citizen, Ashes, and PAX. I think PAX really simplified what a sandbox is. They just described it as like a 3-phase cycle, which is what do they call it? Like gather, create, destroy. It wasn't quite those words, but something along those. And it's just the never-ending cycle. Do the mining baskets still fall into the cargo elevators? Didn't know that was a thing. Bathrooms? Yeah, I mean, dude, somebody over there cares a whole lot about the bathrooms. We just got an update to the Cutty, Cutlass Black. They added a bathroom to it. I'm like, really? Must be very, very important to the future plans for the game. Don't refactor my Freelancer, which I've been waiting on forever. I could really use an update so that I don't get stuck in my bed or whatever. Be nice. Good question, JP. I have not done the OOP yet, so I don't have first-hand experience. Anybody else in the chat know what you can do with the cards? Right? Dude, a freelancer, ever since I've joined Star Citizen back in 317, I have not been here nearly as long as most, but ever since then, the freelancer, Max in particular, has been my go-to. It's just like the perfect size, super fast access to the driver's seat, plenty of room in the back for a vehicle or a lot of boxes, whatever I want. It's just doesn't feel too big when I'm solo. I can fit a few people on it. Great ship. If I need a bed, I can haul a nurse in it. Yeah, the wear and tear cosmetics are pretty awesome. I've seen that a time or two in the past. I can't remember the exact circumstances. I've noticed that most in the Origin ships, like the 300 series, those things seem to get beat up really quick. Nomad is a great ship. I haven't actually tried the tractor beam on the Nomad since they added it, which was a while ago. But I don't have a Nomad, so that would explain why. But yeah, it's a cool little ship. The fact that it can fit a rock on the back is pretty awesome. Although now I guess just throw a Geo back there too. I think the rock was pretty tight. Geo would probably be a nicer fit. But or a couple bikes, whatever. Such a good size. Origin 325. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely made of glass. Like, if the wind blows too strong, the wings fall off. And yeah, it was. That's actually how I learned that repairing your ship also restores like any wear and tear that it's showing, because like the glass in front of the driver would get so bad that I couldn't even see out the glass, and I remember cursing like, how will I fix this? I tried all kinds of stuff, and it was like, well, if you just repair at the station, it goes away. And sure enough, it did. But yeah, totally agree, Jazz Kit. Yeah, you're making me long to get my my Starlancer out. I'm gonna have to do that. I love that ship. My only nitpick about the Starlancer is the landing gears. My buddy got a Freelancer back in the beginning to be our party wagon. Yeah, exactly. There's so many bugs in the thing. They really need to show that thing some love. I think that could have been a higher priority than the Cuddy Black bathroom, but obviously they know something we don't. I think at least the Freelancer has a toilet already, so I think we're good for whatever the future state of the game is there. Drake Voltron, is that a thing, or are you April wanting me late? I heard about I've heard some people talking about Voltron ever since they announced the Geo. Like, could we come up with some like mech suits that can combine into Voltron? That'd be sweet. Yeah, I had my Geo there and 20 of the small boxes for the Geo. Nice. Oh, all of that on the Nomad. That's pretty awesome. It's such a great little carrier. Titan's windshield used to get bad so quick in the earlier builds. Yeah. For sure. You just want one? Is it real? Are you making that up? Okay, yeah. I got you. They should have done that for April 1. Did we even get an April 1 ship commercials this year? I love the well, I guess they kind of teased the what the hell was it? The Rock TS. I guess maybe that was their April 1 thing. The Street Sweeper last year was much better. The level of coordination, yeah. If everyone had to control an appendage. That'd be amazing. And also probably impossible with the current physics of the game. You'd have one player go one way and the other go the other way, and you'd be in the center of the sun. Titan is not a ship I've flown very often. Never experienced that windshield, but it sounds a lot like the 325. Here's a question. Back on my Sandbox rant. Does anybody else have like a favorite sandboxy game that they would love to see Star Citizen move in the direction of with some of their actual sandbox content? I'd be curious. Like how many Eve players are here or anything else? My favorite April Fool. Hey, Ross. Thanks for popping in, man. My favorite April Fool's joke was Jared pretending to know how to do concept art. That's amazing. I think I missed that. I'll have to go look that up. Factorio, good one, man. I'm kind of hoping that base building works a little bit like Factorio. I've never played Factorio, but I've seen some friends stream it and stuff, and pretty cool. If we get like Factorio Lite for base building, Factorio Lite for base building, tongue twister, I'd be pretty happy with that. Yeah, give me conveyor belts and robot arms. Heck yeah. I totally agree. I think we're going to kind of get some of that magically. They talked about like the underground network connecting these buildings, that it will be able to move things between the buildings. Something tells me we won't get too many visual conveyor belts, but we can pretend. Grim. Never brave enough to try Eve. Hey, no harm, no foul. I don't think I really played Eve. I spent a lot of time in Eve, but I never got into the politics and warring and all of that. I was just part of a small little outfit that was part of a bigger alliance, and like what we were doing rolled up to the alliance somehow, but like I was pretty early in my MMO career, and at the time PC gaming wasn't a priority for me. So I was very much a filthy casual, as they called them. But I just enjoyed mining and sending ore to the corp, and I did a little bit of PvE, like the incursions. I eventually worked my way up to like a nightmare, and we would just run incursion missions, which is also not sandbox content, but good example of PvE mission-driven content inside of a sandbox, which you might do for sandboxy reasons. Black Desert. Godin, the killer. Thanks for stopping in, man. Apparently playing Black Desert. Arcade. I hear a lot of people say a lot of good things about Arcade. Also, a lot of people complaining about how it got ran into the ground. So tell me this, Godin, as a Arcade fan, what are your thoughts on Ashes of Creation? Are you pro Ashes, or are some of the choices they're making not your favorite? I'd love to know. Yeah, Ross, if you find it, I'll definitely check that out. GTA 5? I think GTA 5 World counts as a sandbox. I think, if I understand how it works correctly. Arcadia, or just wheel me in the chat. I know they've played a lot more GTA than I have. I played the non-world version, which I would not count because that's very just story-driven, but the world seems to be more sandboxy. It's not an MMO, but it's definitely sandboxy. Yeah, Godin. Yeah, I only asked because the Steven, who was the lead of the Ashes of Creation project, the entire thing, he was one of the top. He ran one of the top guilds in Arcade, and apparently he loved Arcade so much and was so disappointed with how Arcade was ran into the ground that he took it upon himself to create a game very much like Arcade, but not run it into the ground. Well, that's his mission. Yeah, will me definitely. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's why I'm so pro Star Citizen. Like, there's no other game aiming for the scope and the magnitude, and when you combine that with like a sandboxy universe, like yeah, the possibilities are endless. Like Ready Player One type stuff. So we'll continue to be pro, as I've said many times. Like, if this game didn't ship, I probably would not get the chance to play a game like this. So, it's got a lot of reactive things that happen. Yeah, I completely trust you on that one. I haven't played it. Long talk about GTA 6 the other day. Randy, hey man, thanks for stopping in. Good to see you live. Salute back at you. Arcade is basically Fantasy Eve in third person. Yeah, that's what I hear. The guy that leads the Ashes chapter in our community, he was a huge player of Arcade. It's like all the old Arcade players are all kind of congregated around Ashes. So apparently there was a lot to love in that game. I'm sorry I missed it in its heyday. I guess at its prime, it was pretty awesome, from what I understand. The Oasis. What did I miss? What's that? Missing context. Grolo, who is the best luminous minion? You can't say Kenthis. Let me think about that, Wheelme. It's closer to SC, to be honest. Really? No, that's some high praise. Super Co. or Supreme Co. Nice to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Troche. How's, you're in the Caribbean now, right? How is it down there? Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've been seeing some videos on Arcade too. Looks pretty good. My only reservation is like what the funding or what the monetization model will look like. Seems to be that's an Eastern game, right? It's coming out of the East. That's always one of the problems with the games coming from that direction. It's cool, 80 degrees. You're insane. 80 degrees, I'm ready to climb into the refrigerator. I don't have much of a heat tolerance. I'm a cold weather kind of person. Like microtech here. That's my kind of weather. Why I think that's why I call microtech home. I always choose that as my home because I just like the atmosphere and the environment. It's the planet I would choose to live on if I were in the Star Citizen universe. You got 8 inches of snow today? That's amazing. You're up in like North Dakota, right? Breezy. Cold should not be illegal. You can't live in Europe and have that opinion. It's always like damp and cloudy over there, isn't it? Can't wait for the jungle environment. I hope you're talking about Ashes of Creation and not the place on Earth that you reside. Because Ashes of Creation is about ready to launch the jungle biome. Looks pretty. Should be cool. Problem, the main guy on Arcade pushed so much pay to win stuff that it ruined the game. Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, that'll ruin any game. And that's one of the things that we don't want to see in Star Citizen. I know we're kind of down that road, but we gotta continue to remind them, keep it reined in. I love the sunshine. It's awful. Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Wheelme. I don't think you're in the right part of the world. I really don't know. I'm just going off what I hear friends say. I haven't spent a whole lot of time over there. I don't have any personal knowledge. I'm down with the cold. If I'm hot, there are exactly Kia Rock. I'm just gonna call you Kia's Rock. But yeah, I say that all the time here at home. Like I can always wrap a blanket around me or put on a heavier coat, but in the sun, there's only so much I can shed. Yeah, the UK. That's what I understand, Godin. Yeah, I don't know anything about France, but that would not surprise me. I mean, further south. I'd imagine Italy would get hot too. I mean, anything. Yeah, I know as you go like south of the Mediterranean, it gets pretty hot too. So I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. So spring's beautiful, summer is sticky. Yeah, summer's miserable here too. Star Citizen, there's a jungle. What? I missed that. Oh, you're talking about the Planet Tech stuff. Yeah, that'll be cool. Oh yeah, I do remember that now. I was totally blanking. You're right. That stuff looked pretty sick. I mean, all the new Planet Tech stuff looked pretty sick. The new like planet scale lighting. I mean, all of that is going to be. We were just talking about that somewhere the other day about the like kind of the large scale lighting systems and stuff that are being done in Star Engine. It puts them kind of, at least at that scale, it sounds like they're pretty far ahead of like some of the other game engines like Unreal. But again, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the actual game clients themselves or GPUs. I got so burnt in Italy, so yes, it's really, yeah. I can imagine. There was a guy I used to work with that had family in Italy. That's the only reason I know any stories about Italy. But he talked about how warm it got. Jungle Ranger home base relic hunting and data business in SC. Yeah. That's what you're going to do, Troshe? You're going to like live in the jungle and run data? You need like the thing I was talking about in that other video. You need that the advertising signs, so you can put signs up. Come to Troshe's jungle data business. It's like the Southeast once you're out of the Alps. Okay, I can totally relate to that. I know what the Southeast feels like, and I don't like it. Grolo, what do you think is the hardest part? Or what's the technical blockers you foresee with dynamic meshing versus static like we have today? Deep question. Let me think about that a second. I just want it to be like 60 to 7 degrees all the time. Hell yeah. Totally. I'm like 50 to 60 is my ideal, but I'll take 60 to 70. I know CIG isn't focused on new features right now, but what is your number one requested feature that seems easy to implement? Oh man, dude. If I'm being an engineer and I'm thinking about like what is the most bang for the buck I can get, like what seems like low effort but would really change gameplay for me, I would just want the ability to send mining bags down a freight elevator. I know that seems pretty silly, but like it seems like it wouldn't be that hard, but it would open up so much more gameplay. Right now, I mean, you know me, I'm in for the sandbox, the actual sandbox content. Like if as an organization we could start running mining missions and actually run cargo carriers like we do for salvage to get that stuff somewhere and on a freight elevator and keep our miners in the field, I think that would be pretty awesome. That would open up a lot more configurations for the carrier type ships and all kinds of stuff. But if I'm not putting my engineering hat and I want to ask for like a unicorn or a pony, then base building for sure. In any capacity. I mean, that's just the number one for me because I think going back to the video I released just a few days ago where I was complaining about the term sandbox and how it was being used, like I think base building is what actually brings the sandbox to life. That's what allows us to put castles in the sand, right? It gives us a reason to do all those things. Although I don't know how we're going to get base building without being able to put mining bags on a freight elevator. So hopefully, you know, that comes around the same time. But yeah, we're going to have to refine our stuff and turn it into materials and construct these things. And that's, I mean, even if they don't have like a market online at that point, I think like makeshift markets will arise and boom, you got an economy underway and an actual sandbox game with the reasons to go do things other than missions spawning in and telling you where to go. Yeah, totally on the salvage as well. Like all of that stuff should be feeding into base building, which is why, like that's the number one thing. That's what connects it all together. You're going to need the salvage. You're going to need the minerals. You're going to need all of that to come together to fabricate components of the base and blah blah. Even combat, like you know, you're going to want to defend the bases, so that gives you more PvP, like actual sandbox PvP encounters, or fight ships because they've already talked right about like salvaging evolving so that like the type of salvage we get differs based on what's in the ships. I'm not making that up. They've actually said that, I think, right? So it might not all just be going out and finding panels in an asteroid belt anymore. We might actually have to hunt down certain types of ships to salvage and get the stuff we need to make the other things that we want and so on and so forth. Yeah, base building brings the sandbox online. Yeah, totally with you, Wilmy. I'm still thinking about your question, Ark. I want to be able to put a cohesive thought out there. I don't want to stumble around. I want to take a sip of my coffee. Yeah, okay, Godin. That's what I was getting at. I knew I wasn't making that up. I know I've heard that. To your question, Arcadia, on what do you think is the hardest part or the technical blockers in transitioning from static to dynamic server meshing, I think it's just going to be there's two blockers that I can imagine. One is the thing that monitors the systems and players for identifying like where compute is needed. That's going to be a lot more challenging than it sounds, because like with a static mesh, it's really easy, right? Like some engineer is back there and they're just planning in advance. They're saying, hey, we're going to need a server for this moon and 7 servers in this system and 3 on that. And they're doing back of the napkin math based on, a 600 player limit. And boom, there you go. And if you mess it up, you can just change the configuration and redeploy. But the thing that actually that dynamic meshing is going to need is it's going to need, I think they're calling it I forget what they're calling it. ATLS, I think, is the name of it, the service. But that's going to have to actually watch in real time what's going on across all parts of the universe to identify where compute is needed. Right, so I think this is probably the bigger of the two challenges that I'm about to describe, because it has to, in real time, like identify patterns. Like, are these players grouped? They're flying in a ship together. Like, is it likely they're going to be spending a significant amount of time together? If so, I'm going to assign some compute to like the area around them. It's going to have to know, like, hey, there's a whole bunch of players converging on a moon in Pyro. We might want to assign some compute to that moon. That kind of stuff. And it's going to have to react really quickly, right? Because like things can change really quickly. Imagine you have 2 teams fighting against one another on that moon. 2 teams of 50 or 2 teams of 40 or whatever it is. And one of the teams wipes the other team out. Well, your player count on that moon just was cut in half because a bunch of them respawned on another place, maybe on their capital ship somewhere. And so that Atlas service has to recognize that player split and like react very quickly to assign compute to where half of that player population just spawned, or things like that. I think that's the bigger of the two challenges. But the second part of the challenge is going to be the thing that responds to Atlas. So Atlas is going to issue commands, right? It's going to say, hey, we need 10 CPUs on this moon, or we need 6 CPUs on this capital ship, or we need 20 CPUs on this place where this big war is about to break out. So figuring that out is one thing, but actually getting the CPUs there is going to be the second part. And that will mostly be like traditional infrastructure management tooling, like Kubernetes and stuff like that, for spinning that up and deploying it. But everything's going to have to act as like part of a bigger symphony. So something is going to have to receive those commands from Atlas and communicate that to your Kubernetes cluster or your whatever you're using. But then once the Kubernetes cluster actually spins the new resources up, and it's going to have to do like health checks and verify, okay, all the things that I meant to spin up are now available. Now it's going to have to communicate with all the player clients, get them connected to the right things, or it's going to have to communicate to the replication layer and get the replicants like reconnecting and like rewiring themselves to the right thing. So there's a whole lot of like communication channels that all need to move and flip and rewire themselves in order to take advantage of the new capacity. So those are the two big challenges: identifying the need and implementing what's needed very quickly. Sorry, that was a longer response than I planned on. How many degrees of separation are you interviewing a CIG dev? What would you focus on? I would love to get a CIG dev on this channel, just to chat. That would be amazing. We just did our first channel chat a couple days ago. We had the CEO from Clockwork Labs on here talking about Spacetime DB. That was really cool. If you haven't had a chance to go check that out, do it. But if I was interviewing a CIG dev, I think I would mostly just want to know like the boring stuff. Like I kind of already have an idea of how like what their roadmap looks like and how they're going to get from here to there. I mean, I have a rough idea. It would take a lot to like add a bunch of clarity to that, but I would want to know things like how many times do they have to answer the phone at night to fix like servers going down, or like what is the performance characteristics of, you know, the things that we're all aware of now, like the replication layer, like how many messages a second can they push through that, or like what are the bottlenecks in that layer, and of course I'd want to know like how far are we from dynamic, and what are the, you know, like I identified the two like high level challenges and what they need to solve, but I would love to know like where they are in addressing each of those challenges. Probably what I'd focus on. Trisha. Totally agree with boast building. Bags down the yeah, definitely. I'd love the ability to bring up ground view. Oh my gosh, yes, dude. Jazz kit. It's funny because like I remember waiting so long for the ability to spawn ground vehicles in my hangar. Because remember, we always used to fly to a moon or something to pick up a ground vehicle, and that just felt so annoying. I actually didn't know that it could get more annoying. But I swear that's where I am. Like, okay, we can finally spawn ground vehicles in our hangar, but I have to wait like 30 seconds per vehicle as this thing goes down and comes up, and then I got to go there. I got to move the vehicle and park it somewhere. And it gets really bad if I want to do multiple, right? Because then I got to go back and I got to bring the next one up and I got to go park that off to the side. And I got to keep doing that until I got all my ground vehicles. Then I got to summon up my main ship and then go pull all those things onto it. It's actually worse than flying to a moon. I still find myself like, if I got to do one ground vehicle, I'll do it that way. But if I got to do multiple, I find myself just flying to a moon because I can park my ship, spawn it, move it into the ship. Spawn it, move it into the ship. It's just so much faster than doing it in my hangar. It's kind of mind-boggling that it got more annoying. But so yeah, I agree. If we could pull up vehicles on the freight elevators, whew, then we will finally be where I was hoping we would be like 6 months ago. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It would save like 15 to 20 minutes of juggling. Yeah, 100%. And I guess also like less wiping or less impact from wiping, I would say, Jazz Kit. Like, I feel like I find myself not doing a whole lot of customization of my ships. Like, I would love to, but like it's kind of high effort when I'm only getting like a couple weeks until the next thing happens and I lose all my ammo and all my ship configuration again. Like, I would love to go through and like put weapons in all the racks and load all the ships I use most often, put all my vehicles on in the right configuration and order. I would love to do all that, but I just find myself being like, nah, I'll wait. Yes, loadouts. Can't wait for that. I mean, that's coming with what, tiers 1 of item recovery. I cannot wait, Trisha. This tier 0 is meh. But when we actually get like loadouts, I'm hoping like tier 1 also comes with the armor locker support that we see in ships. I can't wait till that's a thing where I can get out of the pilot seat and go back and just quickly flip to another loadout. That would be amazing. Blue Boy X, thanks for stopping by, man. It was nice to see where they said they were going to be making the side rooms. Interesting. I do remember the side room conversation. I've been under the impression that the freight elevators will double as vehicle elevators, but maybe there's reasons they're reconsidering that. I would take that. It doesn't matter to me if it's a freight elevator or it's a side elevator in a side room, either one. Anything would be better than waiting on that ship elevator going up and down. I mean, the freight elevators are a lot faster, so. And most of the hangars have two of them, so you could, if you had some buddies on there, you could do double duty and get all the ships up twice as fast. Or so you could do multiple vehicles on a, like those extra large hangars. Freight elevators are huge. In theory, you could pull up a couple of ground vehicles at once. Really? You can send ground vehicles down and it stows properly? I had no idea. I did not know that. Man. Seems like such a short jump to pulling them up the freight elevators then. Yeah, that's a good one. That's definitely right up there with like mining bags going down. And stability. Y'all feel like we're getting any more stable since the focus has shifted? I'm definitely like, any kind of change like that, any kind of change like that's going to take time to really start to see the benefit of. So when I announced this back in like November, like we knew we weren't going to get anything until the new year started, and then they had to go through their planning cycle. And, you know, they really, so February, March, we've really only had 2 months, if you think about it, of like the increased stability focus, but I'm curious if anybody's felt it. I don't think we'll feel it in large part until probably like Q3, Q4 this year. That's cool. Now I'm going to do it. Send my vehicles down the freight elevator. I want to see it. Hmm. Cool. Individual small things, yeah. I think so too. Like I'm feeling it a little bit. I think not totally game changing yet, but I get into the game like once or twice a week, and there's enough gap in my play days that, you know, from login to login, I can feel. There's definitely some issues. Some of the issues I still run into too frequently are just stubbornness on my part. Like I just need to stop flying the Freelancer for one. I love that damn ship, but the thing is so freaking old and buggy. Surprise 4-1 landed with so many problems. I don't think it brought any new features which would have risked contributing to the instability. One thing, JP, that I would say might contribute to that, if you go back a few ISCs where they were talking about the increased stability, they brought up content creation as a contributing factor. It's like, you have a bunch of engineers that are writing the platform upon which Star Citizen runs, and like they're constantly fixing bugs and doing their thing. But then you have the content developers who are doing like mission design and all that stuff on top of that are calling down into this thing. And so like as this thing is moving, like this thing on top is also moving, and so you get some friction between those layers there. And like they called out like the what I would imagine is happening internally is like, you know, the platform people are like calling up to the mission people and being like, don't use this, don't use that. If you have to do that, do it this way. And like there's always breakdown in communications like that, and so you get a bunch of jank. But yeah, you get stuff like ground minables that can't be mined. I don't know what all the other issues beyond that have been. That's a big one. Yeah, individual big issues seem to be just as bad as before. Yeah. Yep. I still get stuck in my seat. I still fall through planets and elevators and out of ships. Oh man, we were doing an operation last weekend, and it was one. It's like some operations go really well. I'm actually going to be posting one to the channel here soon for anybody that wants to see like some gameplay. So some people have been asking on that in the channel for a while, like, could you share any gameplay? So I'm going to do it. And you'll see like the one I chose. Like the game's actually running really well. This is after Pyro first came out, so it ran surprisingly well. Given that, until the very end, you'll see well, I'm not going to spoil any surprises, but where was I going with that? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the operation last weekend, like it was just one of those nights you could tell from the very start, like everything that could possibly, well, I'm not going to say that could possibly, because a lot of things in Star Citizen could possibly go wrong, but it was just one thing after another. Like it was something like, oh yeah, so we were going to be doing the Wikelow missions, so I went to my hangar, and some really great org mates were like, hey, I'm going to bring everything you need to complete the Wikelow mission to your hangar, because you need like the soda pop and the horns and a couple other things. I'm like, great, thank you. So they come down, they hand me all that stuff, I get it in my bag. I can't get the mission. So they're like, oh, well, you got to take off into space to get the mission. So, okay. I summoned up my ship, Freelancer. I should not have done this. Take off, fly into space. We get up there. I get the mission, but the mission is going to send me to like another planet, like Crusader, I think, or somewhere around there. I can't warp. Like, I cannot put my ship in travel mode. Nothing I did. I tried, I have sticks. I tried all my buttons. I went into the configuration. I verified my button settings were correct. I tried the keyboard bindings. I verified my keyboard bindings were correct. Everything else was working fine, but I could not get the ship into travel mode. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go log. I'm going to go bed log, log out, log back in, see if that fixes it. I go to the bed. I can't bed log because there's somebody else on my ship. I don't know when that became a thing, but yeah, somebody else on your ship, you can't bed log. I'm like, okay. I'm just going to Alt F4 real quick. I'll come right back. So I Alt F4, I come right back. I'm still in my ship. Now I'm stuck in the bed. One of the org mates comes, he flies over. He's like, I'll try to come on board and, knock you out and drag you out of the bed. We got a bunch of people that get really creative with working around rules. Comes over. For some reason, he can't board because we're still under the influence of the planet's gravity. Like, okay. So I just exit to menu. I'm like, I'm just going to start over. Exit to menu, log out. I'm back in my new Babbage bed. Go back to the hangar. He picks me up. We fly. For some reason, even though he just refueled his quantum fuel, it's telling him he's low again. We stop, we refuel again at the orbital station right above Microtech. I watch him, he refuels it, fuel's level topped off, we take off in warp. We go a couple gigameters, boom, we're dead in space, we're out of fuel. It's a night like that. Somebody comes and picks us up, takes us the rest of the way to Wikelow. Or to the place we got to go to turn in the stuff. So we do that. That actually all works. I turn my stuff in. Then we go to Wikelow. And a whole bunch more bugs ensue. And we get stranded on Wikelow. Somebody logs off. We get ejected into space. And that's when JazzKit comes along and picks us up. So he rescued us from a night of many, many bugs. Anyway. So yeah. Was not feeling the stability improvements that night, but what do you do? Elevator pain and suffering has improved a lot. Yeah, I can't disagree there. I haven't been bit by elevators recently, but I've never been really bit by elevators a ton. I mean, a lot of people scream about the elevators. I've definitely seen it. I'm just not a jerky player, so like if an elevator pops up and it's all black inside, like I do not go in that elevator. And that rule has pretty much kept me alive. There might have been one time an elevator flung me into space or something, but I've been lucky with that one. I'm not saying that the complaints are not legit, because I trust people. I have my own problems. Elevators have not been one. I get bit by everything else, like falling through planets, getting stuck in bed, that kind of stuff. That's what kills me. I did kind of flip a table when they released another new mission that required using ground freight elevators that are always broken. Oh, JP, man, you're killing me. So true. I mean, so true. I haven't tried this one yet. I'm going to be in a day or two, so we'll see what it's like then. But yeah, I hope I don't run into the freight elevator problems. Makes me wonder if they thought they fixed them. I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I'm not gonna criticize them, because I've been in that situation where like I have a service and this service I had a bug, and somebody comes and they alert me of the bug, and I do some of my probing and prodding and testing, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's causing it. And I fix it, and I release it, and they come to me, and they're like, hey, the bug's still there. And I'm like, what? I've tested it. Like, there's no way. But lo and behold, it's still there, and now there's like this new thing that I didn't think, like, so I've been in that situation. I can't say it doesn't happen. It does, but, you know, my user was frustrated at me just as we're frustrated at CIG. It's just the way of things. Do I need to connect my capture card to my... I don't know anything about capture cards, Trochet, sorry. I mean, I know I do this video and YouTube thing, and now this is the first night I've ever streamed on Twitch, so hey, if you're watching me there, hi. I'm brand new to Twitch. But yeah, I don't know anything about capture cards. I'm a noob. I'm just barely gotten to the point where I feel pretty good about my audio setup. Well, that whole like 2 PC thing, yeah, that's a ways off for me. Flight model better for when? 2026, I don't know. That's one thing I just don't care about, if I'm being honest. Like, I hope they get a really good flight model, but I really don't care when. Like, the one we have, like, okay, the one thing that does annoy me is the different modes. I really hate the fact that I got to switch between, like, warp mode and gun mode and shield mode. Like, that's really dumb and stupid. And I thought that was dumb whenever they first announced it. I still think it's dumb and hasn't gotten any less dumb. So I cannot wait until that's gone. But everything else, I'm like, whatever. LOL, I think half the playtime of my org is just working the problems presented by game bugs. It's actually fun sometimes in my L. No, JP, you're not. Like, so my spouse is also a gamer, right? So she gets it. And like, she'll hear me in here. Like, I play Star Citizen once or twice a week, like I said. But like Saturday nights are my long play sessions. And so she'll hear me in here like, you know, kind of like, what the hell? Or I'm cursing or I'm doing something. And I'll go out and she's like, how'd Star Citizen go tonight? And I'll just start unloading about all the things that went wrong or whatever. And like all the things we did to like overcome the challenges. And she always laughs with me, and she's like, it actually sounds like a source of entertainment, just kind of working against a machine like that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, that in and of itself is kind of like something that you don't get in other games. Like I mentioned in the MMO video I did, where like MMOs today are just like, they're already solved by the time you log into them. Even the ones that just come out because of the long early access and stuff like that, like, by the time you log into the game, everything's solved. It's like, hey, here's the best spec, here's the best gear, here's everything you need to know about this mission and that mission, and here's how you get from there to there, and you don't even have to think anymore, right? Like, it's all you play the game here, you got a little screen over here with the guide, and you just kind of look over and you're following the guide, and hey, I win. But like that is not the case with Star Citizen. Like you definitely need creative and problem-solving thinking skills to succeed in the game today. And I hope that is never not the case. I do hope that the challenges we're overcoming are a little less annoying. But yeah, I hope it never loses that spark. So no, JP, you're not ill. I'm right there with you. Although in the moment, it might not seem like I'm having fun. When I reflect back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was fun. I mean, I keep subjecting myself to it, so it can't be too bad. LOL, I was wondering how you guys got into the space above Wikelow. Yep, that's how, Full Metal. We were all in there. The person who owned the ship that flew us there logged out because they had to go get like I don't know, like a snack or something, or they had to do an errand. So they logged out, and as soon as they logged out, the rest of us got ejected into space. Always sit on shuttles and trains. Yeah. I do that, Trochet, just because I'm a little bit of an RPer at heart, and like, if I'm boarding a train, I want to sit down. It's only backfired on me one time, and that was on those platform missions on Orison, where like, you arrived on Orison, you took a train to some platform, and then there was a big FPS battle. I did that one time. You could PvP there, right? And I was sitting on those little trams that take you to the platform. And as soon as we pulled in, there was like, I don't know, there must have been 7 or 8 of us all sitting around. We were all sitting there, all good postures, looking around as we approached the platform, and some other player was standing on the platform, just tossed a grenade into the thing as we arrived, and boom. We were all dead. That's the only time sitting backfired on me. It's important to have an exhaustive compendium of standard operating procedures, e.g., don't walk back into black elevator. Yeah, 100% JP. I'm with you there. It's one of the first things we tell people new to the game: don't ever walk into a black elevator. A few years ago, you could get hit by an elevator doors that were flying. Oh man, I'm sorry I missed that, Blue Boy. Although, I posted a video the other day and somebody left I posted a poll, I think. I did something on YouTube that people could comment on. I think it was one of those posts. Oh yeah, it was the one where I posted because Star Citizen 4.1 and Ashes of Creation both released their big updates on the same day, so I took a screenshot of both my downloaders, driving my internet into the ground, and I posted that post, and somebody responded saying they had just logged into 4.1, and they were standing at the ASOP terminals, I think, and like, this was in Microtech, or New Babbage. They were standing at the ASOP terminals, and an elevator came flying through and knocked them out. He said it like knocked him so far it killed him. I just don't know how it happened or how legit, but it was hilarious. I laughed. Ekatai, welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for stopping by. Hello. What are we angry about today? Oh, yeah, we've been angry about a few different things, but it's all in good fun. We were talking about just how a lot of Star Citizen game time is overcoming bugs, and how the art of overcoming bugs has actually become an enjoyable form of content for some ill people like us. Grimhex elevator. I never go to Grimhex, so I don't know much about Grimhex, but I've had some friends that have been stuck on that elevator for ever. Back in 3.17, whenever I started playing, at least. Microtech shuttle drops me through the floor, but only in front of the convention center. It is consistently that location. Nice, dude. I've definitely been hurled into like the core of Microtech on the Microtech shuttle. That's definitely happened to me. I can't remember where, but yeah. Nothing renders at the core. It's just all black, but we had like a few years straight of broken Grimhex, yes. That's what I'm thinking, Blue Boy. I remember when that elevator just never worked. I remember one time walking onto that elevator in Grimhex and just seeing like a pile of dead bodies. Like half the elevator was full of dead bodies. It was just an insane number of dead bodies. And like I remember laughing, thinking, God, that poor soul. Like I can't even imagine what that person went through, because it was all the same dead body, right? I'm like, I cannot even imagine the level of frustration and pain endured by that person before they finally gave up. Or, you know, I gotta wonder, did they actually succeed in getting out? Something tells me no. My favorite thing in the game is hearing from an org mate that they need a rescue, usually because of a game bug. Yeah, JP. I mean, that's content, right? That's we do the same thing. Anytime we do a big org event, like it's, I mean, there's bound to be a couple of those scenarios arise. We owe me, that's funny. First of all, Mum, you know you're European when. She tells you to shut up. Is that from cursing at Star Citizen bugs? I'm assuming that's why. JP drops whatever he's doing to go rescue. Yeah, I don't blame you. That's the good stuff. Want a Gundam? I want one ugly ship to robot in space, 3,000 keybinds. I don't know what a Gundam is. That's not the first time I've heard that, though. Shakes his head, yeah. I'm sure people here would be shaking their head at me, too, if I could see them. I don't think it would have changed if you were standing. That's actually a very good point. I feed kills. I'm assuming you're talking about the time that the grenade got thrown on us in the, yeah. I think the only reason I say, like, sitting backfired on me in that situation is because, like, I guess had I not been sitting, maybe I could have jumped off the thing, but probably not. There were probably no getting away from that grenade, because if you actually jumped off the vessel at that point, you would have fallen into the gas giant, which would have had the same ending. I find myself checking elevators in real life. I wonder if I do. I don't even know. I will say that I was at a place that had the glass elevators the other day, and I was definitely like inspecting. I'm like, how does this thing work? I don't know if it's because of the Star Citizen's influence or not, though. You better have your AI edit shorts of this video. How are your shorts doing? I don't know. I use the shorts to kind of fill the dead air on the channel. On days I'm not posting actual content, I'll just post some recaps from some older videos. Seems to be working all right. I get thumbs ups and some views, so hey, as long as it gets more than 0 views, I'll keep doing it. But this is the year of stability, Sanctrid. Yeah. We were just talking about that a little earlier. I don't know if you were here or not. Like, we were talking about, has anybody actually felt stability improvements with the shift? I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we won't be feeling much of it until later this year. Because if you think about it, like, they announced it in November, but then they went on holiday. January, we know, is a planning month for CIG, so we really only have February and March. It just turned April, so we've had 2 months of this shift in focus. And anytime you have a big shift like that, it really takes a while for the momentum to shift. I mean, it's kind of like steering a big ass ship or like a big javelin, right? It takes you time to turn that thing and get it going in another direction. So it doesn't surprise me we haven't felt a whole lot yet, but it's certainly easy to poke fun at, that's for sure. I haven't checked in months, but there are many NPC spawn locations in Orison that spawn them midair in space below the platform, and they continuously fall and respawn. I had heard about that way back when I first joined Blue Boy. I heard that was actually a source of performance degradation and problems for the game back then. So I think it was somebody in our org who was like, they suffered like one of those bugs where you fall through the planet and they somehow wound up in the core. And they were like, they actually shared screenshots, or they shared their screen on Discord. They were like, look at all these NPCs. I mean, there were so many that like their graphics card just came to a screeching halt. And it was just all like stuttery. But sure enough, there they all were. Arcadia constantly knocks you out. That's probably deserved. I've never played Helldivers, so I don't know what a dive option looks like, but it doesn't surprise me that a game called Helldivers would have diving as a prominent feature. I felt it in a big way when they fixed party markers. Actually a good point, JP, because there for a while, I don't know about you, but anytime we were doing org missions, like everybody's party markers was like several kilometers above their heads. That was freaking annoying. You don't realize how much you come to depend on something until it just vanishes. Yeah, we were shooting each other in the back. It was crazy. We had to really be careful and make sure that we were wearing very identifiable things during that phase. So, but yeah, I noticed whenever I played this past weekend, I noticed they were working. I felt good. So there we go. We got one stability improvement. Everybody stabilizing Squadron 42. I don't know. That's a good, maybe. I don't know. It's felt like that game has been very close to release for a while, and I can't say that I have any understanding about what like the polish phase of a video game looks like. I can tell you that just software in general, like polishing is what they call the long tail of work. Like it's kind of easy to get something to 95%. That last 5% is it can be very painful, very time consuming, very whatever. Which probably means we're not even measuring the percentage correctly. Because like if the last 5% takes you a year and the first 95% took you 2 years, well that seems like an incorrect measurement. But that's how we do it. I think whenever we say 95%, we're actually saying like 95% functionality. But I think what we don't realize is a lot of what makes something feel polished has nothing to do with the functionality. It has to do with a lot of other things like performance, reliability, stability, but also things like documentation, like, which, you know, as players of a video game, things like documentation, like what the hell do we care? But internally, I guarantee you that the mission designers, they care a whole lot about the documentation from the systems below them. So anyway, they were constantly generating a ton of NPCs. Some items like med pins were doing the same thing. Oh man. Yeah. It's kind of funny how things like that happen. I can't be too critical. I've done some crazy shit in my software too. Sanctuary, not sure if you talked about this, but there was like a dozen or more vehicle ships mentioned in the monthly report. Holy shit, really? I think we're getting both Ironclad and Perseus. What? When did the monthly report come out? I have not talked about this, so... Oh, that's not the right one. What is it, February? No. There we go, March. I don't think I've read this yet. There we go. Vehicle content team completed the Drake Golem and Argo Atlas. The Starlancer TAC moved into the final development phase. Oh man, I can't wait for the TAC, dude. That's going to be a freaking... I mean, I like the cargo variant, but the TAC's going to be pretty fun to play with. While the consolidated Outland Pioneer progressed through Whitebox. I mean, right here, kind of... This is a big indicator of where we are on the journey to base building. Can't imagine they would release the Pioneer before we had the systems in place to benefit. Benefiting from additional concept work shown during the recent blah, blah, blah. An unannounced vehicle successfully passed gray box review and moved into the Lodo phase. 2 other vehicles received a bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release. And another new ship is currently being prepared for its gray box gate review. Wow. Yeah, you ain't kidding. A lot of ship work. The NAB's team progressed with 2 upcoming RSI ships. The first, the Apollo, successfully passed its white box review gate and moved into gray box. Man, the Apollo has been in, like, a much requested ship for a long time. Ever since I joined in 317, I remember people talking about the Apollo. One of the guys that was in here before me, that was like the ship he bought. He was waiting on that thing. So, good to see it finally moving. With support from the concept team on medical room design. Some aspects progressed significantly due to the utilization of extensive RSI kit we created for the Zeus and the Polaris. Nice. I mean, that's what they kind of said all along. Their plan was to start really zooming in and focusing on one brand at a time. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely leverage. Second, the RSI Perseus passed its white box review at the start of March. Like the Apollo, some areas progressed visually thanks to the RSI kit. Very nice. Work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles too. A variant of a popular ship passed gray box review. Another ship is approaching gray box review, while an all-new model entered production in preparations for its white box review in early April. That's a lot of ship work. You are not kidding. Yeah. Yeah, the Ironclad sounds quite close. Where was that? Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm totally spacing. I'm mixing up the Ironclad with the TAC. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Huh. Man, that would be it'd be pretty cool to get them both with Invictus. But yeah, the TAC sounds right around the corner. That's cool. Ironclad is definitely a ship I'm excited about just because of the potential of using it as it's kind of a small makeshift carrier. I'm very into that type of thing, like kind of assembling multiple ships to form a squad capable of like working in unison against a task. So that's very appealing to me. My org used to constantly all go back to the menu when another member showed up to play. Otherwise, party markers would be busted. Really, I didn't even know it was a fixed AP. Good tip, but hopefully I'll never need it. Can they use what they were doing in Squadron 42 and migrate knowledge, or is it too different? No, they're definitely reusing a lot of it. Like, guarantee that Squadron and Star Citizen they're using a lot of the same assets and a lot of the same platform under the hood. Not all of it, I'm sure, but yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of overlap between them. A lot of things that can benefit both, so That's a good way of approaching it, for sure. Hey, I knock you out. Yeah, knock her out when it's needed. I got you. Can you use 200 ends for server meshing solution? What? Can you use 200 ENG for server meshing solution? You'll have to tell me what 200 ENG means. I'm not following you on that one, Trisha. That last 5% is 50% of the work. Exactly, Blue Boy. That's my point. I don't know that we're measuring things quite right. Possibly the TAC, Apollo, and Paladin too. Yeah, dude. I mean, the TAC is on the list. I mean, it's right here. Moved into final development phase. So Paladin, that would be. Paladin looks like a cool ship. I'm not super pumped about the Paladin, but I can see why some people like it. I mean, I love the design language on the. It's kin, like what is it? Yeah. Drawing total blank on the dropship that it kind of looks like, but yeah. Just hoping for the Galaxy end of year. I don't know. I forget. Did they kind of let us? Did they clue us in as to what comes first, the Galaxy or the Pioneer? Because it seems to me like at least the building variant of the Galaxy was kind of off and on again. Like, so it seems like they might not have resources committed to it unless you're talking about the non-building variants of the Galaxy, like the refining version and cargo. I got rid of my Galaxy a long time ago, so I haven't been following that one. Yeah, thanks for the heads up on the March monthly report. I didn't even know it was out. Sanctuary. I'm gonna have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. I bought a Scout because of the fuel now is crap. Yeah. I hope the patch that just went out fixed the fueling bugs we were having. We had a lot of people with the quantum fuel bug the other night, where like you just couldn't fill your quantum. It would report full, but it wouldn't be. It was weird. Could have been like a issue specific to the shard, the server shard we were on, but how can a scout ship not be ready for exploration gameplay? Apollo has a mini game still on the RSI website. Really? That's awesome. Gotta check that out. I did. I remember back whenever we joined the project. It was fun to learn that like the arcade cabinets that you found throughout the verse, you could actually go to the website and play those arcade machines. I very much hope that they actually bring that into the game. Like, I totally see Star Citizen as becoming like not only kind of the everyone game, but also like a platform for mini games inside of it. Like, I want to be able to play arcade machines. I want to be able to play billiards on the pool tables. I want the TVs to work. I want like an in-game news network, all kinds of shit. I think you could go crazy with that stuff. It would fit really well. I want the Vandal weapons and armor. Yeah. I gotta say, though, I'm not a huge alien guy whenever it comes to, like, the cosmetics, like the alien ships, the alien gear. Not my thing. But I can see it being your thing for sure. I mean, it definitely looks cool. I'll give them an A+ for making the alien stuff that we have look alien. But minigame's called Astromedics Back from the Brink. I cannot seem to post a link in chat. That sucks. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure why the links aren't working. Sorry. It might actually be like a YouTube account thing. I don't know if I have control over that. This is my first time. I'm a total noob, so if I screwed up the live chat settings, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, but I'm gonna Google it here. There we go. Whoop. Is that it? Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. AD. Shift and control, bombs and missiles. Oh, man. Okay. Give this a go. Oh, okay. Oh. All right. I'm figuring this out. What? There's a bug in it. It's bugged. Gotta refresh. I'll try this one more time. I got 1 credit. Whoa. Okay. Touchy. Oof. Oh, you gotta pick up the bombs. Whoop. Oh, got a shield. Dang, I suck. All right, I'm not gonna embarrass myself. But I'm gonna practice at it. Next time I'll show you how much better I got. Just now I was able to get on. Sorry to have missed much of your first Q&A. Hey, no worries. I appreciate you showing up, Nicholas. I think of all the people I follow covering SC, I find myself agreeing and seeing things from your perspective the most. Well, you know what they say. Great minds think alike. Now I know you have a great mind. No, I really appreciate you popping in, Nicholas. That's awesome. It's supposed to be Perseus and then the Galaxy. They share a lot of assets. Makes sense. They definitely seem to be heavily focused on sharing assets, which, like I said, it's smart. Cross ships, cross games, doesn't matter. Swim in the hot tub on the Connie. I'm glad I finally got the hot tub in that ship. I remember for a long time just seeing that flat area and thinking, just imagine someday we're going to be able to sit in a hot tub there. And now we can. But they still don't have fish in the fish tank, so that's a huge bummer. Would the last ship CIG sell be the ultimate meta ship? I think you're getting at the power creep, power spike. I don't know. That's a good topic, though. Like, I'd love to know what you all think on post 1.0 ship sales. You think they should continue doing them? If it means they can offset subscriptions to the game? Do you think they should only continue doing them if they can offset subscriptions to the game? Or do you want to see the ship sales go away? There is an Orion text adventure as well. Nice. Oh man, text adventures are okay, so text adventure games are what got me into computer programming. I was playing on my grandfather's Atari. Oh man, I cannot remember the model number. It wasn't the it wasn't the 2600, which everybody knew. It was like the Atari. I want to say it was like the 7800, something like that. But it had a keyboard. It did have a cartridge slot on it. It had a tape drive, keyboard, yeah. And I remember, I think it had a floppy drive too. Yeah, I think it had that too. because I remember getting Zork. Zork 1, the original Zork. Anybody play Zork in chat? Give me a... just tell me you played it if you did. I'd love to know how many other Zork players. The original. Yes! The Gru. Oh my god, dude. I played the hell out of Zork. I enjoyed Zork so much that is what got me into computer programming. So he had like a collection of old Ataris. Most of them were actual computers. They weren't the 2600s. Like the 4800, he had one of them. I was like, can I play around with this thing? So I took it back to my place and I started it had like a word processor in it. It didn't even have BASIC, but it had some kind of weird word processor that I learned to use. And I created my first kind of choose your own adventure, text adventure with this word processor because it had this feature where like you could put a little bit of text and have somebody press enter on it and it would jump them somewhere else. So I used that feature to like build a digital choose your own adventure basically. It was not a sandbox. Zork was closer to a sandbox than my game was, but anyway. And then from there, I got a Commodore 64, which, as you know, had a full keyboard. And that actually had BASIC and came with a book. I just read that book cover to cover. And it was just so I could start to program an actual text adventure game. And I'm trying to think of the genre. I think my first text adventure game was like, it was kind of like a fantasy horror genre. If I remember correctly, it was mostly around like necromancy and that type of stuff. Which you can't, my video's clipped, but you can see I still got like the Call of Cthulhu behind me, so I'm still into like fantasy horror genre. But anyway, yeah, that's what got me into programming. Started out with BASIC and went from there. You can shoot and drop bombs. This minigame lets you unlock the Apollo medevac. Really? You can only pledge for the base Apollo if you don't get a high enough score. I did not know that, Blue Boy. That's cool. I think somebody's probably told me that and I forgot. Well, now it actually says that on this site. Okay. Well, now I actually have to practice. Good to know. Robotech capital ship. Endeavor all the CIG's last ship. Or Endeavor will be CIG's last ship. Always was meant to be concept until after 1.0. Really? The Endeavor? Huh. Yes, Metal Jazz Kit. Zork. Cassette or 5 1/4 floppy to start. So on the Atari, it was a cassette. Although it had a floppy drive and Zork came on a floppy disk on the Atari. On the Commodore, I only ever had a floppy drive. Yeah. But it was an external one that kind of hooked into the keyboard of the Commodore. I never had Zork for the Commodore. I had some other text adventure games, but none of them were as good as Zork in my opinion. Super Vanguard Hyperforce game has a game on their website. Tour guide on the Javelin. Tour talks about their CO having to top score. Nice. Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. On the Javelin, they have the arcade in that one area. If you do the tour on that, they gotta work someday. In game, you're likely to be eaten by a Gru, man. There's some dev interviews from the devs who made the Zork games. Really? Gru were used as a way to prevent players from endlessly circling if they get confused. Wow. I did not know that. Now I gotta go find those dev interviews. Oh man. I know what I'm gonna be searching YouTube for later. That's amazing. I definitely died to a Gru a few times. I never actually beat Zork 1. I got pretty dang far, but well, actually, I don't know if it was far. It felt far. I was young. Like, when I was playing Zork 1, I was like, I don't know, maybe 10. I want to say I was around 10. But I never actually beat it. This was before, so this was long before like internet guides and all that stuff. So like there was nothing to help you through that shit. I remember getting hung up in hell. I remember like paying the guy to cross the river and going through the gates, and then you were like traveling through hell, and like you had to like collect the stuff and put them on the altar. And I could never figure out how to get past hell. I don't know how far that was, but that's as far as I got. I kind of want to go back and download an emulator and play it now and just beat the thing. It has such a profound impact on my my life if you think about it. So, I read so many books on Basic, right? I even implemented the 1/3 of a choose your own adventure book in Basic. Hell yeah, dude! That's what I'm talking about. I actually implemented my my text adventure game in Basic. It worked. I had friends play it. It wasn't like as expansive as Zork. It probably didn't make nearly as much sense. I remember becoming more focused on the combat system within it, which checks out because now that's mainly what I care about in MMOs that I play. But yeah, because I was also very into like tabletop RPGs at the time, Dungeons and Dragons, and a whole wide variety of Shadowrun and a whole bunch of those. But I think at the time that I started doing basic programming, I had only done D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And so I remember trying to like come up with simpler systems like that to like do combat roles and make things very interesting. And I wanted to display it because that kind of stuff just fascinated me at the time. So I wanted like whenever you came into combat in my game, I wanted you to be able to actually see the results of the roles and why the combat unfolded the way it did. And I remember spending an inordinate amount of time on that. And so the actual area that you had to play in was kind of pale because eventually I got bored and I just gave up on it. But it was a lot of fun. I even to this day I think about text adventure games and I think like I know there's apps on the stores that are already trying to do this, but like blending text adventure with AI. Like there's that one game called AI Dungeon or something like that, I think, where it's just like an infinite dungeon that is like AI powered. I've messed around with it. It looks pretty cool, but I keep wondering like what you could do now if you gave up all the graphics and everything and just focused on like the content, the story. Like, what could you do? Phantasmagoria 7 CDs. Oh my gosh, dude! I never played that game. Yeah, Jazz Kit. It was a 5 1/4 floppy. I do know that. I think like those first 5 1/4 floppies, I think on the Commodore and the Atari, they were like 180K. The first ones. And then when I got to a PC, my first PC had a 360K 5 1/4 floppy. And then from there, it was like 1.2 meg was the next step up. Remember right? And then the 3 1/4 was 1.44 meg. Yeah. I might be misremembering that because the non-high density 3.5 was 720. Anyway, been a long time. Did SC commit to not having subscriptions to get into the PU in the past? I don't know, JP. That's a good question. Like I said, I've only been with the project for 317, so I never really took the time to go back and analyze a lot of their earlier promises and stuff like that. I know there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of people that were here since the beginning, they get really bent about some of this stuff. I've just never really had the desire to go dig through history. I'm just kind of taking the game as it is right now. So I'm not sure whether they committed to no subscriptions, but my personal opinion is subscription is the superior business model. Maybe a hot take. I am definitely not anti-subscription. I am pro-subscription. I'm the kind of person who would rather pay than like go through ads or anything like that. Like I pay for all my video services just so I don't have to deal with ads. Like Hell, I was even paying for Amazon Prime, and they sent out an email saying, "Hey, we're going to start doing limited ads unless you pay a little bit more." I'm like, "Fine, just take it. I don't want ads. I would rather not have in-game purchases. Like even stupid stuff like cosmetic armor, like that stuff annoys me. I'd rather it not be in the game. I would rather everything be discoverable, findable, acquirable, entirely in-game. I think, as we're seeing right now with like the item restoration and all that stuff, I mean, the fact that like money is involved complicates a lot of shit. It makes you make poor decisions, I think, but whatever. The ship sailed. Would love to buy a console minigame to put in the rec room of the Starlancer. Hell yes, Jazz Kit. Me too. Like I said, I want the mini. I want the I want the arcades. I want the billiards things working. Maybe some air hockey. We need to get it all. Knowing Chris Roberts, like, we won't even play like the Nintendo version of billiards. Remember those old like Nintendo and Sega like billiards games where like you would aim the pool stick and you could play that way? But nah, Chris Roberts he'll implement the physics so that, you know, the pool works. We'll just have to deal with a period where like you hit the ball and it goes Mach 2 and kills your buddy. That's all. How do you visualize the esports media welcoming SC? Oh man, I have no idea. I am not an esports follower, but I could see him doing like the arena commander type mode, maybe someday. I don't know. Will be cool for those who enjoy esports. Yeah, especially like what do they call it? The theaters of war. Man, that would be cool. I'd watch that. If they still sell ships past 1.0, I do wonder if SC would do a lot of negative attention from people new to the game. If SC sells ships for the prices we see today. Yeah, I'm with you, JP. The thing is like, I don't know. I'm going to come back to that because I'm a little torn on that subject. I'll come right back to it. Blue Boy, sounds like you had a great time making it. Yeah, I did, man. I loved making the text adventure. Fond memories. 360K, 5.25 floppy, double density, and double-sided. The 180. I think I'm remembering this right. The 180K 5.25 floppy was single-sided, normal density. 360K was normal density, two-sided. And then, but the thing I'm confused about is like when you went to 1.2 megabyte, that was high density, 5.25, but it wasn't divisible by 720, which makes me think I'm misremembering the amounts because I do know 3.5 went from 720 to 1.44, which is divisible, and that was the high density version of 3.25. I don't know. I need to know now. Okay, yeah. Oh, it went right from 360 to 1.2. Yeah. Why? I don't know why I was imagining a 725.25. I was totally wrong. Yeah, it went 180, 360, and then right to 1.2. I still don't quite follow that, but yeah, that's what it was. CIG said after 1.0, I'm talking like a decade ago. There will be no pledge ships. Dude, I hope you're right, Blue Boy. That would be awesome. There will be no mandatory subs to continue paying. The $45 gets you in permanently. You can buy UEC with a fixed per month maximum with real money. Interesting. Okay, that's the first time I'm hearing it. I could get behind that. So, my theory is CIG will make a lot of single player games that you can import your character into SCPU after beating. That would make the PU kind of a value add hub world. It's supposed to be a stale that is supported by the sales of single player games while enhancing the value. I mean, that's an interesting tactic. I mean, they're kind of doing that with Squadron 42 already. So if they continued releasing, I mean, it really comes down to the cadence they can do that. But yeah, I could see that working. I mean, the pressure is still going to be on them to generate revenue with PU, though. But yeah, a good strategy. I think, so going back to the bad rap from JP, I was thinking about this because, like, EVE Online has sold Plex forever, which Plex is basically game time in EVE because EVE did have a subscription. And so Plex was a way for players to trade game time, and it had a conversion value to US dollars or maybe other ones as well. I don't know. But so you could swipe your credit card and buy a bunch of Plex and then sell that on the market in EVE to generate ISK, which was their in-game currency. And so I remember thinking at one point, like, because botting and stuff like that can be a very difficult problem to solve. Like, I remember asking myself, like, should CIG embrace the concept of Plex, or should they continue with ship sales? Like, if we had to choose, and I still think ship sales would be better than Plex, but I don't think it solves the problem anyway. I think the real solution there is just kill the freaking bots. But the monthly salary idea for an optional subscription, I think that's a pretty clever idea. That mimics what a lot of other like pay for convenience games are doing, which I can get behind that. If it's metered like that, saying like you can pay up to this amount and get this many credits a month, that at least like I would not see that as pay to win, because you can't just dump an infinite amount of money in to make sure that you surpass your opponent. You're just you know, you're kind of paying for convenience, because like that's really only going to matter at the start. I cannot imagine like once you got an EVE like a year into the PU and you've acquired a ton of infrastructure and assets and ships, and you're able to like generate income pretty quickly. I can't imagine people paying for a salary unless it's really significant. I don't know. Let's see. But the value add for single player games is definitely an interesting idea. You think CIG should rent servers for events? No, I don't. I think CIG should give up on the idea of private servers. I just don't see. I know they like it's going to be tricky for them because I know they promised private servers way back. I keep hearing that, but like, I just maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll do it just to keep a promise, but it's going to be super limited. Like, hey, here's a server that like 20 of your friends can play on. But I don't see a bunch of value in that. Like the infrastructure behind Star Citizen has gotten so complicated that I just don't see a path for them to provide like a private server implementation. Like, it'd be a tremendous amount of work for not a whole lot of game. Paranoia mode, ship sales get replaced with NPC sales. Oh, dude. I don't know. Yeah, I hope not. Like in my opinion, anything they do to enable the solo player to overpower someone else by swiping a credit card, like that makes it pay to win. So like if I can pay a bunch of money to buy a bunch of NPCs to bring a javelin to a fight. Like that doesn't feel good to me as a solo player. That doesn't feel good. So I hope your paranoia is paranoia. I always say people call you paranoid until you're right. Yeah, I hope yours just stay paranoid. Vandal Raiders sequel to Squadron 42. Yeah, I mean they've already said they're going to do multiple Squadron 42 acts, like 1, 2, 3 at least. So yeah. To Blue Boy's point, who knows after that? When I played Eve, a lot of people felt it was worthwhile to pay for the sub, but use Plex for the cosmetics. Other people like me get an army of alts together to assembly line the crafting. I made billions of ISK per day crafting 2 ships from the base materials. Hell yeah, dude. That's the stuff I loved Eve for. Like it was, I mean, people called it a spreadsheet simulator, and to an extent it was, but it was a really nice looking spreadsheet. You know, I just enjoyed the atmosphere. I spent a lot of time crafting and mining, but I spent a lot of time with a hauler too. I can't even remember. It was a Galent, one of the Galent haulers. Can't remember. It was like a really long thing, but anyway. I just love the aesthetics of just flying around, just being a space trucker, really. I don't know why space trucking is so freaking appealing to so many people, but count me among them. But I never made billions of ISK per day. I never got to that point that you were at, but definitely made my fair share. I did a lot of the planetary interaction stuff too. Now my knowledge of Eve is pretty dated because I haven't played in, I don't know, a decade now. Since I've logged into that game. Are you any good railing targets? No. I don't know if I understand the question quite right, but if it's like, are you asking if I'm any good with hand-eye coordination and like aiming and hitting somebody with a gun? No, I suck at it. I'm passable. Like, I can do well in a squad. I can like contribute, but I'm not like a freaking esport kind of guy. I'll never forget realizing I was old because I used to play Unreal Tournament 2004 like it was going out of style. I mean, I lived on that game. Anybody? Any of you two? Any you two? UT 2K4. That's how I always abbreviate it. Any other people love that game? Man, I played that so much, and I was so good at it. I remember, you know how like the announcer would come on and like mega kill and godlike, and they'd have you feeling so pumped up because you were doing so well. I remember loving that feeling. I went shortly after UT because that came out in 2004, which is the same year that World of Warcraft came out. I remember going from UT to World of Warcraft. I was huge in the PvP still, and I started playing in the World of Warcraft Battlegrounds, and I got pretty hooked on them, and I was in them day and night, just grinding for honor or whatever the currency was, depending on the expansion. I got pretty good at them. I was never like gladiator, but like I was dedicated, and you know, I like in arena I could place 2K or 2200. But in Battlegrounds, I felt like a monster. And I downloaded an add-on that gave you the Unreal Tournament announcer voice in WoW Battlegrounds. And it, like, made the game 300% better. It was amazing. Instant give, yeah. Oh, dude. I love that game. Anyway, why did I even start? Oh, okay, so I realized I was old when Destiny, the first Destiny came out. That was the first, because like after WoW, like I played WoW up until I think Cata, like the Cataclysm expansion came out, and by then I'm like, yeah, this game's done for. Well, for me it was like I'd had enough by then, and I actually quit PC gaming altogether. I was just in a kind of different phase of my life. That's when my career really started to take off. I was up in Boston, which was a new area of the country for me. I was just focused on my career and, you know, exploring a new area of Earth and all that stuff. And So I went a long time without doing much gaming at all. And then many years later, a couple friends of mine sucked me into getting Destiny. I was gaming again on the PlayStation by then, and it was coming out, and so I bought it, and we all logged into the game, and we started grinding and like it was the first FPS game I had played in probably 8 years at that point, since like before World of Warcraft didn't even come out. And I remember like I died many times. I mean, there was like PvP, whatever we were doing, there was a lot of PvP in, and I remember dying many times. And at one point, I was like, we were in like this corridor, and I found this corner because there was a bunch of gunfights going on around me. And I found this corner. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hunker down in this corner. There was kind of like a crate here, and so like I could crouch down, and there was very little visibility of me, and I could see there was 2 hallways, one to my right, one to my left, but they were like both like angled in such a way that I could see anybody coming down either hallway. I felt safe in this corner, so I hunkered down there for a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pop the next person that comes around this corner. And wouldn't you know it, like somebody probably like 20 years younger than me, I don't even know, man, but they come around the corner, somersaulting through the air, and do like this crazy spoon move and headshot me while they're upside down flying around this corner. Like, dude, that would have been me back in Unreal 2004, but those FPS skills and that hand-eye coordination, long gone. That's not me anymore. Anyway. Good question, though, Trochet. Best viewers on streamboo.com. What? Is that a bot? That best viewers on streamboo.com thing. I don't know anything about bots. Like I said, I'm new at this. I should ban that person. Let me know. On Pilot on Medic, I generally had more fun figuring out ways to make money in EVE than actually playing the game. Yeah, I'm with you, Blue Boy. I mean, that's true of me in a lot of MMOs. Like, I remember when New World came out, I had fun in the world, but like, I optimized my entire gameplay around like exploring the world and figuring out like what supplies I could get where, which towns needed them. This was back when it first came out. The markets were still disconnected. And I spent all my time just traveling from town to town, carrying goods, selling them. I made a killing at that. And then an update came out, linked the markets, and just ruined the whole geographic part of the game. And yeah, the game just went downhill from there. But even WoW, I remember, I think it was Wrath. No. Yeah, Wrath of the Lich King. When that expansion came out, they added inscriptions, or was that Cat? I forget. I think it was Wrath. They added inscription. I remember freaking cornering the market on inscription. I went from like having like 800 gold in my pocket, or maybe 1,000. No, it was Burning Crusade. So I probably had like 2,000 or 3,000 gold in my pocket, which was like a lot for me. I quartered the market on inscription. I made like 800,000 gold in like 2 weeks. It was insane. So yeah, but I spent all my time just working the market. I generally do that. People make fun of me all the time because they'll say that like, I don't play the game, I play the market. It's so true. Like if I could level on the market, that's what I'll do. Unreal. Okay, yeah. Bunch of Unreal players in the chat. A lot of fun at LAN parties. Dude, I remember all those FPS games and LAN parties. It was so much fun. There were so many back then. Like Unreal was awesome, but even before Unreal came out, we were playing like, I don't know, things like Hexen. Anybody remember that? You actually played like a sorcerer. It was like an FPS game, but you were wizards and sorcerers, and you could like cast fireballs at each other, turn each other into chickens. There was all kinds of crazy shit. We played shit like that. Doom, Quake, of course. There's so many good like LAN party FPS games back then. We ran the largest amount of UT servers in the US back in 2000. It's Poto! Welcome, man. That's the first time I've seen you in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, man. Really appreciate it. Who the hell are you that you ran 2,000 or the largest amount of UT servers in the US back in 2000? That's crazy. Tell me more. What were y'all doing with that many UT servers? I suspect you know where you tried that. Part of the issue was other people tried that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably Blue Boy. I was not familiar with the map, so I'm sure they knew, but it was still kind of discouraging. I'm like, really? Do you like Machinima SC? Would you interview a creator? I don't know what Machinima SC is. What is that? Have a link or something? Have you heard of the SC trade tools? I am part of the project. Really? We crowdsource getting info on the PU, commodity buy, sell location, stock amounts. I made a fine-tuned Tesseract OCR that our app can use to pull the info in from screenshots out of it. What? Wow. I know nothing about OCR. Other than it's gotten a hell of a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, I've heard of SC Trade Tools. I use it all the time. That's amazing, dude. Yeah. I always, I primarily use, InRoute, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Caterpillar. This is wild, dude. So, I've never talked to somebody who did like crowdsourced data collection like this for any site. I know a lot of the sites out there that support MMOs. A lot of them depend on crowdsourced data. I mean, that's what like WowDB and a lot of the Eve was one of the games that had a pretty sophisticated API. And some of the games I know they rely on like mining the actual game data files, but I know SC is very not friendly with that, from what I understood. So, dude, I would love to hear like some of the challenges you deal with to do this. That's pretty wild. Like, are people like actively taking screenshots in the game and then uploading them to the site, or do you have another process for that? I'm curious. Buddy was a bigwig at Time Warner in Southern Tier, New York. Convinced the company to host a ton of UT and CS servers. Wow. STNY. Wow. Huh. That's amazing, dude. That's really that's really wild. Did they run them for like profit? Like, did they rent them out to people, or what did they do with them? SC Films roleplay TV series. That'd be cool. Oh, you're on the donor list. If I scroll down, boom, right there you are, man. That's amazing. Yeah, these tools are awesome. I've used this many times. How active is the development on the SC trade tools? What I would love to know if y'all are how y'all are thinking about where you're taking it. Hey, somebody posted a link. That does work. I can't just right click copy it though. I pay the server cost and work with the OCR. The main writer would be the person who makes the site. Cool. It's awesome, dude. I'll check this out. OCR feels like black magic to me. I just know nothing about it. No profit, but Roadrunner was in the name, so they went for it. Huh. Wow. So I guess I still don't understand what they did with 2,000 UT servers. Are you saying it just wasn't profitable to run them, but like people were like playing on them? Is that what it was? You play the game, run up to a commodity kiosk, and the companion app running in the background. Press F4, the app takes a screenshot, runs OCR, and uploads the results to the server. Dude, that is cool. Man. Is this a companion app? Is this where the code is that does that? If so, I'll, actually, I'm going to give this a star. Gotta log in on this browser. I will star it, though. And bookmark it. That might be useful to take a look at someday. The server then aggregates the info and looks for outliers. Yeah, that makes sense. There are also points awarded on the leaderboard for taking shots, with incentive to get them on out-of-the-way locations. It's pretty active. Yeah, I bet. Stuff like this is cool. Especially like, yeah, if you can incentivize, like gamify the act of contributing, that's pretty clutch. Go ahead and join the Discord, have a chat. I will, man. I'll keep this page up. I'll hit the link. I'm in a browser I normally don't use, so the stuff like that's not working well for me. I'll actually put this over my other browser and do it from there. What the hell? There you go. I just joined. Yeah, I like how the Discord's set up. I'm looking for rocks. All right, cool. I'm in. I'll definitely take a look at that later. Thanks for the pointers on that stuff, man. That's cool. I think the corporate had no idea how many we had running. Okay, so it was like a Skunkworks project. I know how that goes. I used to work for a much smaller scale. I mean, this wasn't Time Warner or Roadrunner or anything like that, but sad story too, kind of. The first real, well, not the first job, but the second job I had. But I was working for a company that ran its own data center, not too far from where I'm at right now. Actually, we provided, internet and hosted server services. This is back like 1990. Like I started there in 97, went into the 2000s. But anyway, we used to like task servers with things we should not have all the time. Like I remember when SETI came out. Anybody familiar with the SETI project, where like they would let you run a daemon or something on your computer, and you could crunch the packets and feed the results back. And we did that, and like they had leaderboards for that too. And we were just constantly trying to crank the power that we could throw at SETI to rise on the leaderboard. Like if the company knew how much we were throwing away, like they might have had a problem. But yeah, nobody ever knew or questioned that stuff. I also remember Bitcoin. We got into Bitcoin mining back when Bitcoin was worth like fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a cent. And I mean, you could mine them pretty quickly back then. Couldn't even tell you how many we mined, but it was a non-trivial amount. But that company went under, went bankrupt. The whole data center got shut down, and all those Bitcoins were lost. So no No Bitcoin wealth here. But I think about them, I'm like, man, wish I'd held on to them. I remember reading like a crazy percentage of Bitcoins are like lost forever. Like they cannot be recovered. Interesting. So we're in good company, I guess. The code for the companion app and the website are both cool. Yeah. AoC core space home. Is this the coexisting crowdsourcing site for the SC trading information? Nice. They have their own app, but you enter information manually into it. Both sites share information with each other. That's cool. Seems like there's a lot of that in the community. Like, I know I use what the hell is it? I'm total blank, but the ship site where you can track like all your org's ships and what you have. Anyway, we use that. A lot of our org members put our fleets in there, and we can all log on there and see like the total size of the org fleet and everything. And those guys are very open with their data. They have API, yeah, fleet tracker. Yeah, they're very open with their data. They have APIs into everything, so you can call it from your own apps or do whatever, harvest whatever you want to harvest. It's pretty cool. EE Studios is the channel. They have years of content. They have an OS, the protagonist, XSpic, blah, 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 from the UAE. Nice. They use VoIP. Cool. I'll have to check that out, Trish. Never heard of it. I use SETI at home in undergrad. Nice. Sounds like we have many similar experiences. That's cool. SETI, yes. I'm trying to remember. There was one trying to sequence the human genome. Yes, Jazz Kid. I remember that too. That came out after SETI. SETI was first. I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. We discussed entering that one, but we were too invested in SETI at that point. We never switched over, but we talked about it. I remember that. I heard someone install SETI at home on a university's master PC lab image. With all the power going to crunching, the person who set that up got kicked out of school. Oh man, that's funny. That kind of stuff happened a lot back then. It was great. There are a lot of content creators who act and direct long format content. Yeah. It's crazy what content creators out there do, man. There's just, I mean, it's no wonder that like I remember, I didn't make fun too hard, but I definitely like kind of chuckled at my kids' viewing habits as they were growing up because it was just so different from mine, right? Like I remember like in my day, I was watching TV on rabbit ears, like knocking the ears to like get a clearer picture. And like, you know, a couple decades later, my kids were just streaming from YouTube all the time. And this was long before I ever really started paying attention to YouTube. But yeah, I just always found it weird. Like why are you watching just random people do random shit? Well, now I get it. It's just a crazy amount of content, and YouTube dominates my viewing habits now too. I still watch some of the better shows on. You can't even call it traditional anymore. It's not really traditional. I'm watching shows from like Apple and Netflix now. Like I'm not watching Fox or NBC or any of that stuff anymore like we used to. But I guess maybe the only old guard I still watch is HBO because I definitely love the Game of Thrones stuff. You can obtain an API from both these two projects. That's cool. I'll check that out. I got a bunch of Cure coin for using folding at home. It was enough income to pretty much subsidize my hardware. That's amazing. I've heard of folding at home. I don't remember. That's that was the genome one, right? That's what it was called. I think that's what JazzKit was trying to remember. Oh, okay. All right. Must have come after then. But that's cool. Not a surprise that They've started bringing coins into the equation. Anything to incentivize. It used to be leaderboards. Now it's crypto coins, I guess. The only income, you know what? I did make not a lot, but I made a little bit. Remember when Brave first came out? They I don't know if it was first came out, but at some point they released an update and they basically gave a cryptocurrency away for free. I'm talking about the Brave, the web browser. For those that maybe are not familiar, like Brave had this interesting approach to like online advertising where they were saying like, look, and this is true, I totally agree with this, like online advertising has gotten like miserable. Like it makes the user experience terrible for websites. Like websites are incentivized to make the user experience worse in order to make more income. And Brave was like, we got to be able to do better. And this Brave comes out with this idea of like, they're like, well, what if we just kind of embed, yes, the BAT token. I'm getting to that. But they were like, if we just embed the ability for a user to pay for the content they consume, like we could make the web a better place. We could make privacy easier to achieve. We could incentivize websites to make good experiences rather than shitty experiences. So it was a pretty cool idea. But at some point, like when it first came out, they didn't really have the payment model in place yet because it involved some like additional work with like, the headers the browser was sending to the website. So, you could say, hey, I'm willing to pay for this if you don't deliver me ads. And they did get all that working eventually. But whenever they first introduced the ability for the browser to do the microtransaction system, they gave away a certain amount of the cryptocurrency for free, and it was not BAT to start. I don't know if I don't know which cryptocurrency it was. I wanted to say it might have been like, actually, I gotta look it up. Anyway, it was some cryptocurrency, and I remember I opted into the program. They gave it away for free. They're like, hey, come check out the browser. We're going to give you a little bit of currency so you can play with this feature as a way to like incentivize people to add more of their own. So I downloaded it. I got the update. I opted in. I created an account. I got a little bit of free currency, whatever it was. And then I forgot about Brave for like a decade or whatever it was. I don't know how long it was, but at some point I went back, and by then the BAT token was out, basic attention token or whatever. And it found my old account and it converted whatever I had into BAT. And it was like, I don't even know, it was like $3,000 worth of BAT. Which I was like, what? So, yeah, funny story. Like, they gave me some free amount of some cryptocurrency and I ended up with like $3,000 worth of BAT. Yeah. It was crazy, dude. I still have that sitting in my Brave account. I never really did anything with it. But like, yeah, if I ever start using Brave, I'll never probably have to pay for adless articles. Yeah, never, and I never gave him a dime. Anyway, I'll have to go look that up because I don't remember what the original currency they gave it was. You could do a whiteboard video explaining space-time DB? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I need to dig into it more before I can actually give a whiteboard presentation that sounds intelligent. Like the whiteboard sessions I've done so far have been topics I'm very familiar with. I'm not really all that familiar with space-time yet. I mean, I'm slowly learning more about it. It's definitely interesting. But I'm afraid if I delivered one with my current knowledge set, like Tyler would come in and laugh at me, man. It's like, what are you doing trying to explain this? But yeah, maybe someday. I'm still thinking about playing around with it for a personal project. I got a lot of stuff I'm working on here, so we'll see. If I feel like it's a good fit, I might bring it in, figure it out, and do some shit with it. And if I do that, like I might just do like a little series about my space-time DB adventures. And I don't know what that looked like, but I'm still experimenting with this whole content thing. After its heyday, someone made a distributed PC puzzle game of folding a real protein. I forget which. The nerds solved it within like 2 weeks instead of a year's. They analyze the strategies players use to achieve this feat. Blah, blah, blah. Change part of the folding, affecting distant parts of the folding rather than only. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know much about all that, but people are creative. It was crazy when he said Spacetime DB was used for VoIP. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the well, actually, yeah, I edited that interview video and I actually spliced in that VoIP call that they did. That was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Wheelme. Have a good night. I didn't really have a specific end time in mind. I was just kind of going to go until the conversation died down. But yeah, I've been going for 2.5 hours already. I didn't expect to go that long. So have a good night. Thanks for popping in. By the way, he was talking, he said it has some advantages over Star Engine tech. Really? I think he was implying that it had some. I remember talking about the distributed, or the. I'm at a loss for words here suddenly, but we were talking about dynamic server meshing. And he said, I guarantee you that these other technologies are not persisting, like the history of player positions over time, because that's one thing Spacetime DB, every time you update the player position, it's actually persisting. So like you can rewind through Spacetime DB and see the entire path the player took through the game, right? For as long as you want until you start throwing data away. Anyway, he was saying, whenever we briefly chatted about dynamic server meshing being difficult, he called out that he guarantees that whatever they're doing it doesn't have that history of persistence. I don't know if that's true or not true, but I also don't think that it has much bearing on a game like Star Citizen. But I don't know. But Star Citizen takes a very different approach with their entity, or like their persistent entity streaming stack. It's very very kind of night and day. But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's pros and cons to every tech, Troche. Like there's a price paid for that history in space-time, but obviously there's things gained. Basically, the online nerds came up with a strategy in a few weeks that forever changed protein folding algorithms. What? Okay, now that's awesome. That is very awesome. Kind of like tech meets science. I'm sure there was quite a few examples of that as the internet and computers and crowdsourcing really came online as in the 2000s and on. That's pretty cool. Having a few days of persistence would be useful for debugging, finding exploits. Hell yeah, it would. Yeah, imagine if CIG, like if you reported a bug to them and you gave them like a unique ID about your player or whatever, and they could just go in and see your player's path, like from login to encountering the bug. I mean, that would be insanely useful. Yeah, rollbacks. A lot of that conversation, well, not a lot, but some of the conversation we were having was revolved around like the traditional bugs delete taco of like player trading, item duplication, and he was talking about like the strengths that that Spacetime DB brings to the table to prevent that, because a lot of the games, like the game developers that are in the developing like the game server, like they got to be solving those problems. And he was saying like, look, if your persistence layer offered that, then your game server makers wouldn't have to care so much about all these various exploits. And he was talking about like the primitives that Spacetime DB brings to manage those challenges for you. So it was interesting. I mean, those are the kinds of things that I don't have to think about so much in my career. Like, a little bit like two-phase commit and acid and stuff like that. Like some of that stuff comes into play, which is related, but only tangentially. Like the I think the thing that makes it challenging in game development is the performance that must be maintained, because like you cannot afford like to increase your latency much at all. The kind of work I do, like latency matters, but it's not the end of the world if it is inconsistent at times to ensure consistency, if that makes any sense. Science is yeah, exactly. That's actually a good point, Blue Boy. And if science is crowdsourcing information, then I mean the internet was like the biggest boon ever, in that it made crowdsourcing far more efficient, I would imagine. When do you think Planet Tech is coming online? I have no idea, dude. I would imagine next year. I think they got their hands full this year. But what do you think? Think I'm wrong? Has anybody read anything? I mean, if it's coming out sooner, I'd love to know. But I haven't heard anything about it since Citcon. Tech v5 was mentioned briefly in the report, including updating rock distribution algorithms and lighting tag. That's cool. Do you think Planet Tech is related to crafting Delete Taco? They seem kind of like... I know that like crafting and base building is pretty high on the priority list, but I don't know if... Yeah, I really don't know what the priority of Planet Tech. I would imagine that'll be before the end of next year, but I don't know where it fits in that timeline. Yeah. Yeah, I think whenever they announced the shift in focus, they were pretty clear that like they still want to be progressing on these systems. The way I would imagine it is that most of the teams at CIG have like experts that really exhibit strong ownership over a product or a feature. Like Planet Tech is a good example. I'm sure that it has like its expert or maybe a few experts of that thing. And a lot of other systems are probably the same, right? Now, I'm sure that each team also has several engineers who are not experts, but they're still onboarding and supporting the experts and developing these things. And so whenever they shift these priorities and they say, you know, we're gonna shift to stability, performance, reliability, I'm sure that all of those systems that they're trying to progress, the teams shrank, but did not shrivel up and go away. I'm sure that like just ROI and leverage alone are incentivizing them to keep at least their experts in that area kind of progressing it. Now, if somebody is kind of cross-functional, an expert in multiple areas or super high level, that you know you could be at risk of like something kind of the pause button being pushed completely on something. But I would imagine some of these things are still going to be progressing, and even with a massively reduced team size, if the expert is staying, you still might see some pretty decent forward momentum, really. Realistically, we want Planet Tech v5 to come out before or with base building. It will change the geography of each planet. That's actually a good point. And I know one of the challenges with base building was getting the base component to attach to the surface properly, so it's very possible that V5 will help with that. Yeah, exactly. Terrain deformation. You know the terminology a little better than I do when it comes to like game terminology like that. I know what we're talking about, but not what it's called all the time. Need roads? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would love roads on planets. I put out a YouTube short. We were traversing Hurston. Hurston is a freaking mess to try to drive a vehicle on. I tried for a while. Somebody convinced me to bring one of those new like pickup trucks so we could put a couple containers in the back. What a miserable experience that was. That thing drives like shit, and it drove even shittier on Hurston. I got so frustrated trying to drive that thing that I picked the freaking truck up with my tractor beam and I just ran to where we were trying to go. I just carried the truck above me so I could carry the multiple containers that were in it. I got there way faster than I would have in the truck. So yeah, we could use some roads. A lot of things. Yeah, I think a lot of things are tied to crafting by extent. Yeah, definitely. Crafting and base building are like the cornerstone of the entire Sandbox experience. We talked about that a little earlier. I couldn't agree more. CIG is wanting to have Tier 1 base building before the November ship sale. They're going to want to have Planet Tech V5 with it. Okay. That's a good point. I hadn't really considered the intersection of Planet Tech and base building. You've definitely changed my mind on that. You think dynamic server meshing is also a blocker for base building? I'm not sure about that one. I think it feels to me like from the perspective of the systems that would enable base building, like there would not be much difference or any difference between static and dynamic meshing. I think, yeah, the only difference is really going to be on the other side of the server infrastructure. So like, you have your game features here that are looking at the infrastructure from this side, the game infrastructure sitting here, and then over here on the other side is going to be the things that dynamically mold that infrastructure. So like your game systems aren't really going to know if it's dynamic or static, and they shouldn't care if it's designed properly. Now, if they do care, I would say that's a design flaw. Yeah, but like if you are producing significantly more entities because of any one of these features, then you can just use static meshing to scale up the number of game servers hosting them, right? Like you're not dependent on dynamic to do that. You can just say, like right now they have 7 servers hosting Stanton. They can just make it 14 or 20. Like if dynamic or if Planet Tech V5 and base building is adding a bunch of entities, you could just say, okay, well every planet, every moon gets its own server now. And you don't need dynamic meshing to do that. Unless you want to mitigate the cost, which that's a whole other discussion. They could just sell more ships to overcome that. Things are going to be streaming in and out more or less the same way. Meshing is built on top of objects. Yeah, exactly. Dynamic is basically a continuously load balanced mesh. Yep. 100%. I agree. Are you a game dev, Blue Boy? Like, I know you're contributing to the SC trade stuff. True, just sell more ships, right? All things are possible through ship sales. Taco. It's not like there will be a huge empty servers with dynamic. Currently with static, there's an issue of some servers. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Practicing physician. No wonder you know about this folding and genome stuff. That's cool, man. So you just do the programming stuff on the side, just kind of part of your hobby game time. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is an interesting combo. It's like a very unique spec. I've done AI stuff for fun. Presented a research paper back in undergrad on genetic algorithms. That's cool. That's all stuff totally outside my wheelhouse. Like I missed the boat on AI. Like I was so far along in my career by the time that AI came onto the scene. Like I didn't pick it up. I work a lot like around AI. Like my specialty is really like, I mean, I have a couple areas of expertise, but like pretty much all data platforms. So like creating interfaces into large amounts of data so that systems that depend on them can get to that data quickly. And also moving data quickly from one place to another. And so that's usually what has me working with the AI guys, because they have a big black box that takes data in and spits models or whatever out, or uses models to spit out whatever. Like that's all black box to me. I kind of conceptually understand it a little bit, but my job kind of ends whenever I hand them the data. Sometimes my job also begins again at the data that they spit out, but it depends. Super nerd, I will analyze your brain and convert it into binary. Dude. All right. We're going to be friends because I need my brain converted into binary, because here's the thing. My retirement and kick the bucket plan is to be uploaded into Star Citizen. So we need to start figuring out, Blue Boy. Like, how can we upload my consciousness into Star Citizen? Especially now that we have tier 0 item recovery. Like, dude, it's going to be even better. I need to figure out that last jump. Mathematical basis of generative AI. People, well, I gotta read this. Tier 0 brain recovery, life of a space. Oh my gosh. That is a great Leet Taco. Nice. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by, dude. That is a great video title. I'm stealing that, Blue Boy. Don't sue me for using it. Yeah, putting that in my back pocket. I might use that one. That's interesting, though. Your comment about the math for AI coming online 120 years ago. It just took us just long enough to have enough computing power to actually do it. Huh. That's wild. All those people that said you needed a lot of math for computer science, I'm proof that was wrong. I went to like early calculus. I stopped there, so I don't know a whole lot of the stuff you're talking about. Oh, the Leet Taco was the Leet Taco. Okay. Damn. Yeah, you all went further than me. I stopped at Calc 2 and I forgot all that. I always felt like really strong at math until I got the calc, and then I was like, it wasn't like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I just kind of lost steam. Like I don't know. Don't know why. Can't explain it. Well, I did a lot of stuff in basic, so I guess I was doing discrete math. You don't know what BASIC is, Teat or Taco? It's one of the older computer languages. Been around a long time. It was, I have nightmares about go-to statements still. I can see that, Blue Boy. Spaghetti code, you ain't kidding, man. I think the same thing's probably true for computing. Like, there's definitely areas of computing that interest me, and I spend a lot of time thinking about. I'm sure a lot of the patterns and stuff that we've developed over the decades all have mathematical inspiration, but I've always felt like a lot of the like systems architecture and that kind of stuff really like mimicked biology. So yeah, there's sure there's influences from all the real sciences. I don't know why my chat is cutting off on the screen, by the way. I'll figure that out before next time. Not filling the whole thing, but yeah, I find that if I get interested in something, I start thinking about it randomly. Exactly. That's me. That's why I always tell people, like, if I'm in a meeting and we're talking about something, I'm like, let me noodle that for a bit, or let me put that on the back burner. Like, that's not like me deferring or procrastinating. That's literally just how I work. I need to stew on something. Shower. That's big think time for me. Next system you would like to see, if you would mind being off-grid, is not connected far away from Stanton, other side of the galaxy, then go open gates, new frontier. Lisa Simpson, welcome. I see your comments all the time. It's always Pog. Is there... I was beginning to wonder if you were a bot. Is there a meaning behind coming in and dropping Pog on my videos? New World comeback? Yeah, not gonna happen. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know, man. AGS just does not. I mean, I don't know. Amazon has a history of sucking until they don't. Like, even on the retail side of their business and their store, and especially like their logistics. Like, there's been a lot of stories published about how, like, Amazon opens warehouses, they got into logistics, they got into trucking and shipping, and they really had no idea what they were doing, because what they really wanted to do was just productize all of this and sell all of this to other people. but they were making so many mistakes that they were losing money for so long on like warehousing shit. Like, because I don't know if you know how it works, but like if I want to be a like a small e-store and I want to sell stuff on Amazon, like Amazon will provide warehousing and shipping facilities for me. I can ship my product to an Amazon warehouse, list it on their store, and they just handle everything for me. In the beginning, like, they were losing people's shit all the time. And they were just writing checks. Whatever people would tell them they lost, Amazon would just write them a check. And it was costing the company gobs of money. And everybody was saying they were crazy, like they just needed to shut this shit down, like, but they just kept at it. And they kept fixing one bug at a time. You know what I mean? And eventually they figured it out, and now they're a juggernaut in the space. Like we think about Amazon, we think about the cloud, we think about their e-store, like Amazon.com. It's very easy to forget the fact, well, maybe not depending on where you live, but it can be easy to forget the fact that Amazon is a freaking warehousing company. They are a shipping company. Like, I mean, they're competing with like FedEx, UPS, like, it's crazy. But, so sometimes I think, like, can Amazon do the same in gaming? Because so far they have sucked at gaming. But can they just keep fixing one thing at a time and eventually be a good gaming studio? I don't know. I don't know if their DNA will pull through on the gaming side or not. It'll be interesting to see. But the moves they made towards the end of New World, like, you know, they drop an expansion, they pull some money out of people, they jump to console, they drop the MMO title. Like, I don't know, none of that's screaming come back to me. Yeah. Wormhole highway to jump multiple systems. I don't think you really need a highway. Like the way space wormholes work is like you can just have a wormhole from any system to any other system. Distance doesn't matter, right? So if you wanted a wormhole to jump multiple systems, like you would just create a wormhole from, like, if the normal path is A, B, C, you just create a wormhole from A to C. You don't need a highway. Failure after failure, eventually making progress. What does that remind me of, right? That's why I have hope in CIG. Iterative design. Like, that is a way of reaching your destination. Amazon is the star citizen of the business world? I mean, maybe. That's one way to look at it. I mean, they just threw themselves at problems. Just burnt money to get to the finish line. So yeah, I guess it's comparable. I think they're planning on that, Taco. Like when they talk about exploration gameplay, that's one of the things they talk about quite a bit. Is like the temporary wormholes that can be scanned down, pass through. They're going to be less stable than the persistent ones, but so you're not going to be able to get ships quite as big through them. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I think that's also going to be like one of the ways to play on the bad side of the verse. Pirates, like if they can't pass through checkpoints with the big jump gates, they'll be looking for these temporary jumps to circumvent the law. Yeah, Blue Boy just said the same thing. Gen AI. Yeah. Yeah. Would be big for space trucking. I mean, fuel and efficiency is everything. And avoiding pirates. Yep. I know I'll be definitely interested in the exploration gameplay when it comes online, because that's what I did in Eve. Like my whole niche in Eve, like I did the mining and I did manufacturing, but when I actually was playing the game and not just on spreadsheets, my whole thing was picking up player contracts. I invested like everything into having this really badass, evasive cargo ship. It didn't have a huge capacity, but it was really good at breaking through lines and stealth and all that stuff. And I would go pick up these really high price but small payloads from player contracts. You had to risk it because you had to put a deposit down to say, if I lose this thing, I'll pay you this much. But if you didn't lose it, the rewards were big, and that was the loop I did. Now, Star Citizen didn't have cool temporary wormholes and all that stuff, but it was still a lot of fun. Star Sim, yeah. Years. Well, that's the thing, though. You don't have to cross 96 systems. I'm saying, like, if your 96 systems were like A to ZZZ, you just need to look for a wormhole that jumps from A to ZZZ without going through all the interim systems. Oh, I know. I know, Blue Boy. There was a ton of scams around that shit, but I spent a lot of time, like, understanding it and knowing which ones to take, which ones not to take. I'm not going to say I never got popped, but I can only remember getting popped once. I did take a loss on that, but overall, I made out pretty good. It was a lot of fun. I definitely had a ship very specced out just for that roll. It was cool. Nitro Shay. I'm going to be calling it here soon, too. Huh. I hadn't heard that, but I think that would be neat. Stuff like that would really incentivize. It would help to incentivize, like, very having very dynamic fleets. Do we know if they're walking that back? You said early on, and it's still shown in Star LS. Does that mean there's an indication that they're giving up on that? Yeah, the Arc Star. Man, that thing's cool. A little outdated, but showing its age maybe. But I always thought it was cool. Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It sounds like a cool mechanic to me. It would be cool if it'd also be cool if, like, there was some kind of a mini game or game mechanic that would allow you to expand the temporary ones. So like an explorer could find one, You know, smaller ships could use it to jump through, but like you could attempt to expand it for some kind of a larger ship to pass through. That'd be neat. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You beat me to it. Yeah, I did know that. It is bright. That's why we're all here. That's a good final topic. CitizenCon this year. Any predictions? Have you seen the Wing Commander movies? This is a human fleet racing to get Earth before the alien fleet does. No, I've never actually seen them. I played the original Wing Commander game way back in the day. I don't really remember much about it though. It's pretty old. Like I don't know if I have the timeline right, but in my head, like Wing Commander and Bard's Tale, like those were the games I was playing around the same time. Is what it feels like. Oh, here's the Geo. I haven't even flown my or driven mine yet. I'm anxious to see what that jetpack feels like. Like I said before, I think the only good feature of what was it called? Bethesda's Starfield. The only good feature was the jetpack. Huh. Wow. I'll have to go search Voodoo for it. Starsim panel, Gen AI panel, showcasing Terra, maybe at the name it. Yeah, it'll definitely be forward facing, so I can definitely see a dynamic meshing one there. I'm thinking we'll start to see some of that next year. Terra's not the. Oh, you just mean just kind of highlighting Terra? Yeah, maybe they showed a little bit of the next three systems at the last one, so maybe, or they might show more of the those. Um, Maybe announcing Nyx's release date. I'm hoping for a Starsim panel. That would be cool. I'd love to see anything more on the economy. Of course, base building. I'm expecting like them to be further along there. Definitely. Finally, a multi-threaded Vulcan. That'd be sweet. Gen AI panel. Do you actually? Is there any indication that Gen AI is making its way into to play a bigger role? You think we get Nyx before Citcon? Nah, I doubt it. I mean, yeah, I doubt it. Maybe next year. Planet Tech V5 is using a bunch of algorithms to generate terrain. I doubt they will use the term Gen AI though. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the voices thing. I mean, they will definitely push for a huge end of year release. They do it every single year. I mean, every single year they push something huge and they go on Christmas break. Guarantee it's going to happen again this year, Blue Boy, and it'll probably be the initial base building and Planet Tech stuff, and we'll see if the shift to focus on stability will help them this Christmas, but something tells me they'll go on a big holiday break and we'll be dealing with the aftermath while we're all on PTO or vacation. Every single year we're disappointed. I mean, yeah, yes and no. Like, I mean, the 4.0 launch this last year wasn't horrible. I expected it to be worse, but you know, obviously they stripped a lot of stuff out of it, but still going through the jump gate the first time was really, that got me jazzed up. But yeah, stability was meh. But at least, like, I mean, the year before, like, the game was just busted. I couldn't even log in. So compared to that, 4.0 was like a huge step up. Look forward to crafting me too, Blue Boy. I want to see, like, crafting, base building into player run economic outposts, like trading posts and stuff like that. The stuff that PAX Day is doing with trading outposts has me, like, jealous. I want to see Star Citizen doing that. I think they already kind of alluded to, like, the ability to search player trade centers from, like, your computers on your ship and set course. Then it's very similar to what PAX Day is doing. So that would be amazing. I cannot wait to be there. Literally be left out in the rain. Yeah. You're already scoping out your base sites on Pyro? That's cool. I should be doing that. Yeah, you're right, though. It's all going to change with V5. But, yeah, I want a place like, anybody seen the movie Oblivion? Ever since I've seen that movie, I wanted to play a game where, like, I just had this little shack in the woods next to a lake. Boom. So I'm definitely going to be building, like, my little hab shack next to a lake in Star Citizen. And that's going to be, like, my place. And then, of course, we'll have the org. Death Star. Tom Cruise movie, yes, it was. Yeah. Nice, Blue Boy. Well, the place I'm talking about in the movie Oblivion, like, he flew down into a kind of a canyon ravine to get to that. Like, all around was just like a barren wasteland, and then you went down into this canyon and you wound up at like this oasis. Basically, it was a lake with plenty of trees, and there was this little shack. That's what I want, somewhere in Pyro or somewhere. But awesome. Yes, that is the one, Blue Boy. It's really one of my all-time favorite movies, honestly. I'm not going to say it's my all-time favorite, but it's up there. It's top 20. It's definitely top 20. An effective team. We make an effective team. Yep. Until they didn't. All right, y'all. I think I'm gonna call it here. Looks like People are winding down. I'm winding down. It's getting a little late here. This was awesome. I really appreciate everybody who came out to support my first live chat. We'll definitely do more of these in the future. I'm not going to be like a every week streamer or anything, but I'd love to check in and chat with everybody once in a while. So we'll come up with some kind of schedule for it. And yeah, again, thank you so much for coming out. It was good chatting with everybody. I recognized basically everybody in here from the comments, so it was cool. And it was great getting to learn about everybody's stuff they got going on. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch along on the Wing Commander movie. Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe we'll do that. Thanks for all the links. I got a bunch of GitHub stars and stuff to go give, and some APIs and code to check out, and yeah, movies and shows and all that. So I'll do all that by the next time. Anyway, take care all. Grolo out.